Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is the very first ever feature-length animated film, and it was created under the direction of Walt himself. And before I go any further, I just have to say, the title pisses me off simply because of this. If you look at the actual title, it's not dwarves plural, it's dwarf with an S behind it. Why? The plot we all know, so I'm not even gonna hold back in this one. There's gonna be spoilers all throughout. So, plain and simple, Snow White is the most beautiful person in the entire land, and her stepmother, the evil queen, is extremely jealous. So what does she do? She hires a huntsman to kill her, but as he sees that Snow White is very beautiful, he just can't do it. So he tells her to run off. She goes through the dark forest, there's a bunch of scary imagery, and then she finally comes to a cottage that's owned by a few dwarfs, all named, let me make sure I did this right, Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, Dopey. Wait, how did I miscount? When the queen discovers that Snow is still alive and she finds out where Snow is actually staying, she decides to change form and curses an apple to put Snow into basically a coma. The dwarves defeat her, they hold a funeral for Snow, and then all of a sudden, just randomly out of nowhere, a prince that she met earlier for like maybe 2 minutes comes to the funeral, kisses Snow while she's laying there dead, and true love's kiss awakens her. They ride off into the sunset, and happily ever after. Everybody knows the story, and just this film is considered a masterpiece and has been called one of, if not the greatest animated film to ever be created. So, is it bad that I actually really don't like this movie? Stop! Stop! Not no face! Hi. Listen! Hear me out before you start throwing anything else.
Fine.
So for the characters, we start off with Snow White herself. She's just a very bland character. While there's nothing to her. I mean, I can tell that she's pretty and that she's very nice, but that's it. That's her entire character. She's just generally uninteresting. And I also have to add that Snow White does actually sound a bit Betty Boopish when it comes to her singing voice, and I'm not the only critic that has recognized this. Even Nostalgia Critic has mentioned this before. And for a criticism so small, it may as well just be a cliff note. The prince, her true love, who she only knows for like, at the most, maybe 3 minutes before the end, he has nothing at all to him. What people really remember from this film are the dwarves, or dwarfs, and the queen. And for the dwarfs, it's the distinct designs in how they're drawn, as well as their personalities, and also the fact that their personalities just so happen to be their names for, well, most of them. And then we have the evil queen, which, when I think back to it, she's a pretty boring villain. She's just a vain woman who really never says anything provocative in any way. However, her design is pretty great. She does, and she actually does improve when she becomes an old woman. She looks great, and I actually do remember being terrified of the old woman as a child. As far as the story, I mean, we all know it. It's the standard Disney fairy tale princess formula, and seeing as this was the first movie to do it, it does actually make it pretty damn monumental. But my main issue with the film is that it doesn't give any answers to logical questions that I want to ask. Things like, are the dwarves related, or are they just co-workers that live together? How did the prince know that, that Snow was, quote, dead, and did they know each other longer than what was shown in the film? Things like that. The film does, however, play into the emotion very well, the emotion that they want us to feel. Especially when the dwarves believe Snow's dead, and they all surround her her bed mourning their loss. And just, I will admit, at first in the scene, I wasn't really feeling anything, until we see Grumpy crying. That always really hits me hard, because we expect him to be angry all the time, and this was enough for him to change his tune. The animation is colorful and pretty, albeit pretty dated. And the music is okay. I mean, we did get two really iconic songs like Hi Ho and Someday My Prince Will Come. And they're good songs, although, of course, I lean more towards Hi Ho because that's just a fucking great song. In the end, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, in my opinion, is not as great as people have hyped it up to be. Though the animation is pretty good and even great for the time, and the story is just, well, timeless, many of the characters are extremely bland, and a lot of the things that happen in the plot just make no fucking sense. And anyone who did not grow up with that, or who did not grow up with this film probably won't enjoy it because the film does rely on nostalgia. And keeping that in mind, I do enjoy it for the reasons that I listed, as well as the nostalgia factor that's in there. And because of that, I am, though I do enjoy it, I am going to judge this as a film critic, and as a film critic, I'm going to give Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs... I said that way too quick, it actually sounded right. Seven Dwarfs, a 2.5 out of 5 reels. As always, thank you so much for watching and just listening to me ramble. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to follow the channel on Facebook and on Patreon, the links for which will be in the description down below. And I also want to know your guys' opinion on the film. Leave your opinions in the comment section down below. So, you know, if you agree with some of my points, let me know. If I insulted your childhood and you want me to die, go ahead and tell me. It doesn't matter. Well, that'll do it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and farewell until the next video. Bye.